Welcome back. All right, so busy night in the NHL tonight. Did my best to follow as much as I could for as many games as possible at the same time. And here we are. So 13 games tonight. Just as a note at the start, if I put 3 stars on the board, it's usually because it's a really busy night and I don't like seeing a lot of empty space on the board. So I feel like, all right, I'll throw the 3 stars in there as well. And sometimes the 3 stars are worthy of discussion. There's a couple tonight that are definitely worthy of discussion. All right, starting things off, Carolina and the New York Rangers. So the Canes have had their down points recently. They've had some good games too. This ends up being a pretty good game. So it's Anderson versus Shesterkin in this one. The shots are 3-2 Canes at 2 minutes. Nason has a net feed this block. Natchez with a rush chance. That's saved. Drury has an entry chance. That's held. Burns has a net feed picked off. Lindgren has a screenshot that's held. And at 17 minutes, Tyler Mott puts the Rangers on the board from Goudreau and Vesey. So after the first period, it's 1-0 Rangers. Second period, Kotkaniemi has a chance that's held. The Canes press at 3 minutes. Stahl has a net feed that's picked off. The shots are 5-1 Carolina, 4 minutes into the period. We get a power play for the Rangers. Pretty aggressive penalty kill by the Canes. They do kill that off. Martinook then is denied out of the box. The shots on net are 12-3. Carolina with 7.5 minutes left. Nason has a rush chance. That's held. The momentum's definitely with the Canes. With 3:10 left, Carolina gets a power play. That's killed off. With 1:10 left, the Rangers get a power play, so that rolls over into the third period, where the Canes do finish the kill. Then there's a press by the Canes. They're kept to the outside. A stretch pass to Natchez misses. Shots are 6-3 Canes at 6 minutes. And at this point, it looks like it's going to be another one of those games where Carolina just can't buy a goal. Power play for New York. Another aggressive penalty kill. And that's killed off. And then at 9:49, Carolina gets on the board. It's Chatfield from Stepan and Drury. Wires that one top corner. But at 10:20, the Rangers get the lead back. It's Capo Caco. It was a Rangers bounce on this one. Lindgren and Fox with the assists. However, 18 seconds after that, Nason scores from Fast and Stahl. So at 10:38, it's suddenly a 2-2 tie. Trouba then has a blast that's saved. Canes press with 6 minutes left. And eventually, they break through and they get that game-winning goal. It's Teravainen from Burns and Kotkaniemi at 17:27. Carolina holds on. They win this one 3-2. They go to 46-15-8 with the win. For the Rangers, 41-20-10 with the loss. The 3 stars in this one, Teravainen, Burns, and Shesterkin. Your shots on net, 12-9 New York in the first, 15-5 Carolina in the second, 15-14 Carolina in the third. Final shots, 39-31 for Carolina. Power plays, 0 for 1 for Carolina, 0 for 3 for the Rangers. Hits, 17-9 for the Rangers, so not a lot of hits in this one. Anderson saves 29 out of 31. Shesterkin saves 36 out of 39. Let me do a rabbit check. Yep, she's still at my feet. Okay, I'm just going to move right here. Okay. All right, moving along. Columbus. So this was a surprise. This one looked like it was going to be lopsided in favor of Washington, and then whoops. So it's Tarasov. I just started choking by accident. Totally unplanned, but I'm going to leave that in there. So Tarasov versus Lindgren in this one. Early jumps for the Caps. Goudreau to line A near miss. Blankenberg saves a goal. The shots are 8-1 in favor of Washington 5 minutes in. And at 5:12, Ovechkin gets the 820th of his career and his 40th goal. And now he has more 40 goals seasons in his career than Gretzky did. He gets that from Wilson and Strome, and it's a tic-tac-toe goal. And then at 8:10, Oshie scores. Tips one in front, Favari and Milano with the assists. And the Columbus is allowing a ton of shots in the first period. And at 16 minutes, Sherry gets one. That's from Sandin and Protas. So Sandin stays hot. And it's 3-0 for Washington at this point. So Columbus is done, right? No. Robinson scores from Olivier at 16:45. It's a better second half for Columbus, sure. However, they're down 3-1 after one. Second period. Power play for Washington. That's killed off. The shots on net are 2-1 for Columbus at 6 minutes. And then Boquist scores from Bemstrom and Sillinger at 6:57. Makes it a 1-goal game. However, Sonny Milano would answer for Washington from Backstrom and Oshie at 10:36. Then Columbus gets a power play, and they score on it. It is Roslovic from Johnson and Blankenberg at 15:01. But before the period's out, Columbus is behind by 2 as Washington restores the 2-goal lead. It's Jensen from Dowd and Wilson at 19:52. So it's 5-3 after the second period. We're going to the third. The shots are 4-3 Columbus at 6 minutes, and at 6:37 is Boquist with another one. Peterson and Robinson with the assists. Sherry then lost the handle and won at the net, and then Bemstrom scores. He blasts it from a distance. Laine and Gaudreau with the assists at 8:35. That's one I think Lindgren would like to have back. But Jensen puts Washington back in the lead 6-5 with a goal from Lindgren at 15:24. However, in the final minute, 6-on-5, Jenner ties it up. Scores from Johnson and Laine at 19:13, and that one didn't make Peter Laviolette happy at all. So we're going to overtime. Caps control early. Ovechkin has a net drive. That's defended. He doesn't get there. And then Oshie with a egregious turnover hands it to Gaudreau, who hands it to Roslovic, and he scores at 2:43. Buries it. Your final score is 7-6 for Columbus. They go to 22, 41, and 7. Maybe they won't finish 32nd after all. And for Washington, 33, 31, and 8 with the overtime loss. That's another tough one for Washington, who are technically in the race, but not really. 3 stars, Roslovic, Ovechkin, and Jensen. The shots on net, 19-12 in favor of Washington in the first, 11 apiece in the second, 15-7 Columbus in the third. They get the only shot of overtime. That's all they needed. Final shots, 39-37 Columbus. Power plays, Columbus 1-for-1. Washington 0-for-1. The hits, 14-9 for Columbus. Tarasov saves 31 out of 37. Lindgren saves 32 out of 39. So yeah, very eventful game. Next up, Florida and Philly. You'll notice there's a lot of goals in some of these games tonight. Man, when you're trying to follow 11 games and there's a lot of goals happening, it's testing. But I kept checking the schedule and reminding myself, hey, a month from now, it's just playoffs. So can get through this. So it's Lyon versus Hart, and if this game doesn't prove why Bobrovsky had started, 13 in a row before this one, I don't know what does. Not that this is all on Alex Lyon particularly, but they miss Spencer Knight is the way I'm going with this. So Lundell has a shot that's kicked aside, but at 1:13, it's a one-timer and close, and Matthew Tkachuk scores. Verhaeghe and Luostarinen with the assists. Then we get a power play for the Panthers. It looks like this is going their way early. Panthers coming up with a lot of shots, but that's killed off. The shots 4 minutes into the game are 7-1 for Florida. And then Farabee ties it at 4:43 from Cates and Zamula. Then the Flyers get a power play. Farabee's denied from the slot. That's killed off. We get a power play for the Panthers. That was killed off as well. Pressed by the Panthers with 3 minutes left. Montour has a rush chance that's saved. So after the first period, I would say Florida outplayed Philly. They outshot them by almost 2-1. It's just this feeling of, well, eventually they'll wear Philly down and they'll win it. But in the second period, Reinhart has a turnover chance. That's held. The shots are 3-2 Flyers 4.5 minutes in. Flyers press at 8 minutes. Eventually, Sanheim gets one from Lemieux. 8:42 in. Allison's then denied on a fast break. The shots on net are 6 apiece with 6 minutes left. But at 14:17, Montour puts one in off Provorov's stick to tie the game again. Barkov and Reinhart with the assists. But at 16:54, Lawton answers. That's from D'Angelo and Zamula. And then at 18:05, Sanheim jams one in. Cates and Farabee with the assists. And 50 seconds after that, it's Provorov scoring from Frost and Lemieux at 18:55, making up for the fact that one went in off his stick for Florida. So all of a sudden, it's 5-2 after the second period in favor of the Philadelphia Flyers. Third period, shots are 7-1 Philly, Florida, I should say, at 5.5 minutes. We then had a fight between Gudas and Lemieux. Panthers get a power play. They end up scoring on it. It's Reinhart from Barkov and Montour at 13:49. They would pull the goaltender, trying to get back into this, and Frost hits the empty net from Forrester. That's at 17:59. Actually, I think this was Forrester with this assist as well. I think it changed on the app, and I forgot to change it, so I apologize. I'm pretty sure that's a Forrester assist and not Frost. At any rate, 6-3 is your final score in favor of Philadelphia. They go to 26, 32, and 12. This is a big loss for Florida in that they could have pulled themselves further ahead of Pittsburgh. Now Pittsburgh has the game in hand. They're only 1 point back. They win their next one. They're in good shape. For Florida, they're 36, 28, and 7 with the loss. 3 stars, Hart, Sanheim, and Farabee. Shots on net, 19-10 Florida in the first, 11-9 Philly in the second, 16-3 Florida in the third. Final shots, 44-24 for Florida. Power plays, the Panthers 1-for-4, Philadelphia 0-for-2. Hits, 22-21 Philly. Lions saves 18 out of 23. Hart saves 41 out of 44. So pretty big night for him. Yet that rabbit's not moving tonight. I have to stand in a really awkward spot because she ain't moving. She's like, nope, not moving. I'm staying right here. Sorry, human. All right, next up, Minnesota and New Jersey. So I was on the fence about whether or not to wear Hartford because Carolina or to wear Minnesota. considering there's a little bit of controversy for, I would think, for some New Jersey fans watching this, not going to wear Minnesota, but they're tied for first in the division now. So it's Gustafsson versus Vanacek. Gustafsson had an absolutely ridiculous game. He was too good to be one of the 3 stars tonight. Power play for the Devils, that's killed off. Shots are 3-1 at that point in favor of them. Devils with some momentum. Shaw's then denied on a fast break. With 3.5 minutes left, the shots are 9-4 in favor of the Devils. There wasn't really a whole lot to put on the board from that period. And so we go to the second with the score still 0-0. Tatar has a rush chance that's held. The Devils press at 3.5 minutes. Eriksson Ek is then denied in close. Shots are 4 apiece at 5 minutes, so pretty evenly played there. Hartman nearly scores. Was absolutely denied by Vanacek. There were a lot of VTech chants tonight. I don't know the over-under and how many Igor chants there were compared to VTech chants, but it was close. So, Wild press with 9 minutes left. They end up getting a power play. That's killed off. Goalies and defense are really the story in this one. Boldy has a rush chance that's defended, and so we go to the third period, still scoreless. In the third, good early back and forth. There's a near miss for Hischier in close. Hamilton has a shot that's held. The Wild press are kept to the outside. The shots are 3-1 for the Devils at 3 minutes, but Minnesota opens the scoring. It's Shaw. He buries one right from the goal line. He pulls it out from behind the net, puts it in. Dewar and Sundqvist with the assists at 6:41. Then there was a post for Matt Boldy on a break. The Devils press at 8 minutes. There's a power play for the Devils. That's killed off. But Timo Meier would tie the game on a goal from Hischier and Brad at 12:08. The Devils then get a power play. They are looking for the lead. Hischier was denied. Wild clear it out. They do kill that off. We're going to overtime. In the overtime, the Wild controlled early. Johansson's denied in close. Hughes has a rush chance that's saved. Boldy was denied on a 2-on-1. The next chance for Boldy's fired high. He is denied on his next opportunity. It was the Matt Boldy show in the overtime, and then he scores at 4:58. But the fans wanted a call on Boldy. I'm not sure if it was a trip or a hook or what they were looking for there, but I think it was a trip or interference or something. But the fans weren't happy, and as they're booing and wanting a call, the puck goes in the net. So I hope the referee made it to his car okay. Your final score is 2-1 in overtime for Minnesota. It's New Jersey. So, Jersey Shore and all that. Anyways, 41, 22, and 8. There's a bunch of New Jersey. It's not like Jersey Shore at all. All right, cool. So 41, 22, and 8 is now the record for Minnesota. Like I said, they're now tied for the lead in the division. New Jersey, 45, 18, and 8. So they do get a point, but they lose a point on Carolina while gaining a point on the Rangers. So your 3 stars in this one, Boldy, Meier, and Vanacek. As I said, Gustafsson was far too good to be a star tonight. Your shots on net, 10-8 Minnesota in the first, 12-11 Minnesota in the second. Or, nope, New Jersey, I got that backwards. So 10-8 New Jersey in the first, 12-11 New Jersey in the second, 21-5 New Jersey in the third. Both teams had 5 shots in the overtime. Final shots are 48-29 in favor of the New Jersey Devils. Power plays, 0-for-1 for Minnesota, 0-for-3 for New Jersey. Hits 18-11 in favor of the Minnesota Wild. Gustafsson saves 47 out of 48. Vanacek saves 27 out of 29. And like I said, Gustafsson's not one of the stars because just too good. All right, last one on this board is Nashville and the Buffalo Sabres. She's even all stretched out now. You're going to be all stretched out like that? Really, Cinnabon? Because your brother's right there, and he's just kind of chilling. You can sit with your brother. All right, cool. All right, so in the Nashville-Buffalo game, we had no idea what was going to happen here, and it really was a matchup of 2 teams that haven't looked all that interested in making the playoffs, so this was going to be interesting, and it turns out Nashville might be interested in making the playoffs. So it's Saros versus Anderson in this one. The shots are 2-0 Nashville, 3 minutes in. Power play for Buffalo. Pretty aggressive penalty kill, though, and they do kill that off. Preds press at 9 minutes. Eventually, they get the lead. It's Tomasino. He scores from Duchesne at 11:45. Lauzon then has a screenshot. That's saved. Power play for Nashville. That's killed off. And then Duchesne gets his 20th of the season from Tomasino and Lauzon at 18:45. Glass was down on a hit when he scored, so that didn't look great for Cody Glass. But it's 2-0 Nashville after the first. Second period. Olofsson's denied on a break. There's a power play for the Sabres. It's killed off, but immediately after, Cousins scores from Peterka and Quinn at 3:36. That one's tipped in on a rush. So they do get on the board. Power play then for Nashville. That's killed off. And then Evangelista would score from Novak and Saros at 9:21. So Evangelista continues to impress since being called up. And then he adds another. He scores from Sherwood at 10:01. So all of a sudden, we've got a 5-1 lead, and we're only halfway through the game. McDonough would then score at 15:52. We get a power play for the Sabres. It becomes a 5-on-3. Out of that double power play, they do get one goal. Tage Thompson from Dahlin and Olsen at 17-17. But it's 6-2 after 2. And as crazy as Buffalo can get, a 4-goal lead, I thought was probably going to be too much with UC Saros in net. So in the third period, shots are 3-0 Sabres at a minute and a half. We get a power play for Nashville. That's killed off. Eventually, Buffalo does get another one. It's Skinner from Tuck at 7:45. They would pull the goaltender because you might as well try. And Duchesne hits the empty net from McDonough at 17:37. And so your final score is 7-3 for Nashville. They go to 35, 26, and 8. Again, holding that hope out for making the playoffs. For Buffalo, it's another tough loss at home. They just don't play well at home. They are 33, 31, and 6. The 3 stars, not listed on the app. Not there. Your shots on net, 12-5 Nashville in the first, 14-8 Buffalo in the second, 12-7 Buffalo in the third. Final shots, 31-27 Buffalo. Power plays, Nashville 0-3, Buffalo 1-4. Hits, 19-16 Buffalo. Saros saves 28 out of 31. Anderson saved 14 out of 20. Luukkonen goes in relief and saves all 6 shots. All right, now time to change boards. All right, so continuing, we get into Ottawa and Boston. Ottawa gave Boston everything they could handle tonight. They did. And, right up until the end, I thought Ottawa had a shot in this one. But Ullmark and Søgaard, they really steal the show tonight. So it's Søgaard versus Ullmark. Early press by Boston. There's a power play for the Sens. That's killed off. The shots, though, are 8-1 for Ottawa 5 minutes in. Bertuzzi's denied and close, but at 8:55, Dylan Gambrell opens the scoring from Ridley Gregg. So Ottawa's up 1-0. There's a Bruins power play. It then becomes 58 seconds of 5-on-3. The Bruins call a timeout. Jim Montgomery wanting to discuss what to do, and it works. It is Krejci from Lindholm at 11:33. He tips that one in front, and so they score on the 5-on-3. The Sens do kill the 5-on-4, though. But before the period's out at 15:52, DeBrusk gets one on a rush from Marchand and Lindholm. It's 2-1 Boston after 1. Second period, Bruins press at 3 minutes. A lot of shooting in this. And again, the goaltending was fantastic. 8-6 are the shots for the Sens at 8 minutes. Bruins press at 9 minutes. With 6.5 minutes left, the shots are already 12-12. So again, lots of shots, and there were 36 shots in total in that second period. Power play for the Sens, it's killed off. The Bruins had pressed to close the period. But it's still 2-1 after 2. Third period, power play for Boston. That's killed off. Pasternak's denied on a net drive. Honestly, again, just god tier for Søgaard in that third period. Coyle has a shot deflect out. There's a power play for the Bruins. There's a shorthanded Giroux rush. He can't tie it there. Sens get a power play. It becomes a 6-on-4. But the Bruins end up holding on. There were some chances in that final minute where Ottawa nearly ties it and forces overtime. But in the end, the final score is 2-1 for Boston. They go to 54, 11, and 5. So 113 points right now for Boston. It's ridiculous. Ottawa, 24, 32, and 5 with the loss. Or 34, 32, and 5 with the loss. Apologies. 3 stars are Ullmark, DeBrusk, and Søgaard. Shots on net, 16-11 for Ottawa in the first. 21-15 Ottawa in the second, and then Boston 9-4 in the third. So they shut it down in the third. Final shots 41-35 for Ottawa. Power plays, Ottawa 0-3, Boston 1-4. The hits 27-25 for Ottawa. Søgaard saves 33 out of 35, and Ullmark saves 40 out of 41. So entertaining game, but in the end, Boston ends up winning. Not necessarily the prettiest, but they get the win. All right, next up. Tampa Bay and Montreal. Vasilevsky versus Montembeault in this one. The Habs press at 3.5 minutes. We get a power play for Montreal. That's killed off. Shots are 3-0 though for the Habs at 7 minutes. And it just felt like Tampa Bay didn't start on time and Montreal gets a lead. It's Doc from Suzuki at 8:27. So nice to see Kirby Doc back in the lineup. Gallagher was back in the lineup as well. At 14 minutes, Jonathan Drouin gets his second of the season from Gurianov and Barron. We then had a power play for Tampa. Points denied and close. That's killed off. Then there's a near miss for Pitlick in the final minute. But it's 2-0 Montreal after the first. Second period. Perry couldn't score one in close. The shots on net are 2-1 Montreal at 4 minutes. Hoffman then fires one high. We get a power play for Tampa and they score on it. It's Braden Point from Stamkos and Sergachev at 8:58. The Bolts then press with 7.5 minutes left. Things get punchy in the corner. Some scrumminess going on there. 4-on-4 is the result of all of that. Perbix is then denied on a net drive. The Bolts press with 4 minutes left. And then Matheson restores the 2-goal lead. He scores from Savard and Suzuki at 16:58 before Colton is denied in the final minute. So after 2 periods, it's 3-1 Montreal. Third period, full power play for the Habs to start it. Matheson has a shot that's held. That power play's killed off. It's kind of out of sync, but I mean, they're up 2 goals, so it's okay. Shots on net are actually 2-1 Tampa at 4.5 minutes. Habs press are kept to the outside. Pizzetta has a chance that's blocked. And later in the period at 14:54, Maroon makes it a little closer. He scores from Colton and Perry. Anderson gets dumped into the net. There was no call there. Anderson needed help going off. There was a lot of booing, and I hope Anderson's okay, but it didn't look good. At any rate, Montreal does hold on. They win the game 3-2. They go to 28-37-6. Tampa Bay 42-24-6 with the loss. So your 3 stars in this one, Montembeault, Matheson, and Doc. Shots on net, 10 apiece in the first, 13-6 Tampa in the second, 10-4 Tampa in the third. Final shots, 33-20 for Tampa Bay. Power plays, the Bolts 1 for 2, Montreal 0 for 2. The hits 20-16 for Montreal. Vasilevsky saves 17 out of 20. Montembeault had a great game, 31 saves on 33 shots. So much for any concern about that loss to Florida. That's forgotten with tonight's result, and we'll see how they do in the next one. Next up is Toronto and the Islanders. Wow, this looked close. It did. And then all of a sudden, nope. This is where at this time of year you get a team that desperately needs a win against a team that doesn't really desperately need to win, and you can get scores like this. So it's Samsonov versus Sorokin. Bunting has a rush chance that's saved. Gustafsson has a blast that's held. Dobson then had a chance of his own that's held. The shots are 2 apiece at 2.5 minutes. Leafs press 4 minutes in. Matthews fires one wide as the Leafs press. The Islanders are blocking a lot to this point, but they don't block out Lafferty's. He gets the goal from Liljegren and McMahon. That one bounced in off of Lafferty, and that's at 11:01. Both goalies with highlight reel saves in that first period. Just Sorokin was ridiculous. Absolutely. But Samsonov had a good start, and then it just kind of rolls downhill for him. So Gustafsson was robbed. The Isles press with 3.5 minutes left. When I say he was robbed, I mean that might have been one of the best saves of the year. Achari boards Nelson, but there was no call on the play. I guess they felt Nelson turned at the last moment. At any rate, it was one that drew a bit of a crowd, and hopefully no bad outcome for Nelson from that. 24 seconds left. The Leafs get a power play, so that wasn't that long after the boarding. So, yeah, Islander fans not happy. But with 4 seconds left, it becomes a 4-on-4. Nelson was not on the bench at the start of the second period. And then Parise, 4-on-4, scores from Mayfield and Pajot at 28 seconds on a good forecheck, and all is killed off there. Leafs press to answer. There's a power play for the Islanders. That leads to a shorthanded break for Kampf. He was denied. That's killed off. Shots are 3-2 Leafs, 7 minutes in. The Leafs press at the half. McMahon has a blast that's saved. And then on a turnover, Hudson Fasching makes them pay. He scores that one at 13:50. The Islanders press with 4 minutes left. And then on a forecheck that causes another turnover, Clutterbuck scores from Pulock at 17:26. So all of a sudden, we've gone from a game where the Leafs were leading 1-0 after 1. They're down 3-1 after 2. Third period, Marner would score at 3:29 to make it a little closer from Matthews and Hall. So there's some hope. But at 4:13, that goes out. Clutterbuck scores. That's his second of the game. He's never had a hat trick. He tried. He didn't get the hat trick tonight. Shots are 2-1 Leafs at 8 minutes. So the one shot that has gone on the net has gone in for the Islanders. Holmstrom would then add one from Lee at 10 minutes. Exactly 10 minutes. So the Leafs now down by a few. They pulled the goaltender early with 6.5 minutes left at 13:56. Dobson from the other end of the ice scores into the empty net from Pajot. This was after Clutterbuck tried to hit the empty net and missed it wide, and so that was an icing. And then before the game's out at 16:46, just to add that little bit extra of the insults to the injury, and in order to ensure that this magnet gets on the board, almost forgot, Lee scores from Dobson and Clutterbuck at 16:46. So your final score is 7-2. Rough night for Toronto. It only counts as one loss. They dropped to 42-19-9 with the win. And I mean, the Islanders need these wins, right? They go to 37-27-8. So again, the more desperate team that needs the win gets it. On a night where Florida loses, this is good news for the Islanders. It'll improve their odds. 3 stars are Clutterbuck, Sorokin, and Dobson. Shots on net are 10-8 Islanders in the first, 9 apiece in the second, 10 apiece in the third. Final shots, 29-27 for the Islanders. Power plays, the Toronto 0 for 1, Islanders 0 for 2. The hits were 36-15 for the Islanders. Samsonov saves 22 out of 28. I swear he had a good start. Sorokin saved 25 out of 27, and he was spectacular. So, yeah, rough night for the Leafs. All right, next up, Arizona and Winnipeg. So, I don't know. I mean, Winnipeg gets the 2 points, and that's what's important. But was it pretty? No, it was not. So, Vejmelka versus Hellebuyck in this one. Hayden has a net drive that's held. We get a power play for the Coyotes. That was killed off. 2 shots on that. And then Nick Ehlers opens the scoring for Winnipeg at 4:17. And the shots on net are 5-4 Winnipeg 7 minutes in. So they bounced back from what was a slow start for them. We then get a power play for the Coyotes, and that leads to a shorthanded goal. Adam Lowry gets that one from Barron and Pionk at 11:33. So again, 2 players you want to see on the scoreboard for Winnipeg get on the scoreboard. We then had a power play for the Jets. That's killed off. It's 2-0 in favor of Winnipeg after 1. Second period, Coyotes press at 2.5 minutes. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 soon after. Hayden's denied. The shots are 8-3 for Arizona at 3.5 minutes. And here's the kicker. The Jets don't get another shot for the rest of the period. Nothing. And Arizona spent a lot of time in their zone. So there's a power play for the Coyotes. That's killed off. But at 11:46, Arizona gets on the board. It's Barrett, Hayden from Keller and Schmaltz because, of course, it is. Those 3 guys combine on almost every goal now for Arizona. Coyotes press to tie it. There's too many Coyotes on the ice, so the Jets get a power play. That's killed off. No shots on that power play, and I know that because there were 3 shots for Winnipeg at the 5.5 minute mark. So not much going on for Winnipeg in that period. Third period, the Coyotes press at 2 minutes. We then get a power play for the Jets. Connor's denied. They cycle. Things get punchy on a hold by Vejmelka. That power play's killed off, but it does manage 4 shots. They got more shots on that power play than they had in the entire second period. Jets go back to the power play, and it's 4 minutes. And it felt like this was really big. And if it was against anybody not Arizona, they might have been in trouble tonight. Arizona's road record is not very good. So there's an early clear by the Coyotes. There's a shorthanded Fisher rush that's defended. Ehlers has a shot that's blocked. Lowry has one that's held, and we're already through the first 2 minutes of that power play. Everything's killed off. Jets are 0 for 5 on the night, and they managed 2 shots in the 4-minute power play. Keller then has a shot that's saved as they press. Scheifele has a 3-on-2 chance. That's held. Lowry fires one wide on a rush. The Coyotes press with 5.5 minutes left. They would pull the goaltender with 2 minutes left, but with 1:43 left, the Jets get a power play, which forces Vejmelka back into the net and allows Winnipeg to win this one 2-1. They go to 40, 29-3 with the win. For the Coyotes, they're 27, 33, and 11 with the loss. 3 stars are Hellebuyck, Ehlers, and Lowry. Shots on net, 10-7 Winnipeg in the first, 18-3 Arizona in the second, and then 12-5 Winnipeg in the third. Final shots, 30-25 for Arizona. Power plays 0 for 3 for the Coyotes, 0 for 6 for Winnipeg. Hits 24-18 for Winnipeg. Vejmelka saves 23 out of 25. He was excellent. Hellebuyck was just that little bit better with 29 saves on 30 shots. But yeah, this is one that I hope Winnipeg realizes how close this was to being a different result. All right, next up, Detroit and St. Louis in the most exciting game of the night. Not really. At any rate, this is a game that happened. 2 teams, of course, out of the playoff race. So my attention given to the games outside of the playoff race is not as much as the teams that are in the playoff race, which I think everybody understands. This time of year, that's just how that works. Hellberg versus Hofer in this one. And Bortuzzo, on what was only the second shot for St. Louis, he scores at 2:21 from Blaine and Shen. So there's Sammy Blais with another point. Shots are 5-2 for the Wings at 6.5 minutes. We get a power play for Detroit, and they score on it. It's Chason. He stays hot. He scores from Perron and Larkin at 7:49. And then on their third shot, St. Louis scores again. It's Scandella at 10:03. So while Hellberg would end up being one of the 3 stars, it didn't look like he would be early in this game. We get a power play for the Blues. That's killed off. And then before the period's out at 17:47, Philip Zadina scores from Kubalik and Lindstrom. So it's 2-2 after 1. Second period, nothing happened in the It feels like nothing happened in the second period. Power play for the Blues. That's killed off. The shots are 2-0 in their favor. 5.5 minutes in, there's a power play for the Wings. That's killed off. The shots are 3-2 for Detroit with 3.5 minutes left. Now, there are some shots in those final 3.5 minutes, which is good because not a whole lot going on. So we go to the third period. Good early back and forth. Raymond tips one wide. There's a power play for Detroit. That's killed off. Shots are 5-0 for Detroit 6 minutes in. So they had more shots already at this point than St. Louis had in that second period. Krug has a blast that's blocked as they press. The Blues press then at 9.5 minutes. Shen to Saad, near miss there. Raymond and Blaine were unfriendly. No penalties came out of that, but they weren't friendly. May not be on each other's Christmas card list. Wings press with 5.5 minutes left, but we're headed to overtime because we need more. And so in the overtime, Blues control early. Shen tips one wide. It took 2 minutes for the Wings to get the puck. So the Blues ragged the puck quite a bit. Letty was then denied on a fast break, and then Larkin has a shot that's saved late in the overtime, but we're going to the shootout. And it stayed scoreless until Raymond got the winner. I think that was in round 4 that Raymond gets the winner. And so Detroit wins this one 3-2 in a shootout. They go to 31-30-9 with the win. St. Louis 31-33-6 with the overtime loss. Your 3 stars are Raymond, Hellberg, and Hofer. Hofer's been quite the story. So if I'm St. Louis, I think Hofer deserves a really legitimate chance at being one of the 2 goalies next year. Your shots on net, 7 apiece in the first, 8-4 Detroit in the second, 14-8 Detroit in the third, and then 3-1 for St. Louis in the overtime. Final shots, 30-22 for Detroit. Power plays, 1 for 3 for the Wings, 0 for 3 for St. Louis. Hits, 20-13 St. Louis. Hellberg saves 20 out of 22, not bad considering he allowed 2 goals in the first 3 shots. And Hofer saves 28 out of 30. All right, now I need to go to my third board of the night. All right, so if you cheer for a home team on this board, you're screwed. Ah, crap. Anyways, all right, so that being said, Dallas was at home against Seattle. Decord versus Ottinger, and 2:32 in, Tanev opens the scoring. Gets a goal from Sprong and Soucy. Shots are 4-2 for the Kraken at 3 minutes, but the Stars would get a power play and they would score on it. Heiskanen gets a goal from Robertson and Pavelski at 3:52. So Heiskanen's points mark, I think it's 11 games now for him. And just looking, Dunn didn't get a point tonight. So Seattle fans, I apologize. Unless one of these scoring plays got changed, it looks like I jinxed him tonight. With mentioning him in the News of the Day video. I apologize. So Heiskanen gets that one in off Decord's back. So it's just one of those Dallas bounces. Ben is then denied on a rush. There's a stretch pass to Ben. Near miss there. Seattle was stuck on 4 shots, but then they had quite the finish to the period, starting with at 12:20. Sprong gets one 5-hole on a fast break. Tanev and Larson with the assists. And it was 7 shots in a row for Seattle at one point in that period, and they're up 2-1 after 1. Second period, on a 2-on-1, McCann buries one 5-hole. That's the 34th of the season. Eberle and Alexiak with the assists at 1:37. The shots are 3-1 Seattle at 4 minutes. They wanted this one bad. Power play for the Stars. That's killed off. The Kraken then get a power play. Pretty aggressive kill, though, by the Stars. They do kill that off. Ben has a shot that's caught. We get some pushing after. And a strong game so far for Decord. He doesn't end up with a great save percentage at the end of the night, but I thought he played well. It's 3-1 in favor of Seattle after 2. Third period, Dadonov has a rush that's held up by the ref. Dadonov was also out of energy at that point. Stars press at 2.5 minutes. Eventually, they score. Johnston gets another. So, again, he's really forcing his way into that Calder discussion. Ben and Suter with the assists at 3:57. And then there's a power play for Dallas. Hintz gets denied, but we end up with 51 seconds of 4-on-4. Stars press during the 4-on-4. The shots are 5-4 Stars with 9.5 minutes left. Everything's killed off there as well. Kiviranta has a shot that's caught and held. Dadonov has a fast break. That's defended, so you just can't get to the net. And then Tanev scores to make it 4-2 from Geeky and Soucy at 14:03, and it was far corner from the high slot. Tough one there. The Stars answer, but goalie interference takes that one off the board. It was pretty obvious. Daryl Ray was trying to argue, well, you know, he's in there, but he's pushed in there. He hung around there. So, yeah, that was no goal. But at any rate, they pull the goaltender, and almost immediately after pulling the goaltender, Dadonov's the extra guy on the ice, and he gets the primary assist on a goal by Pavelski at 16:34. Ben with the other assist. The fans then call one. The ref doesn't. So, ref, you suck. Get started. I'm sure it was in a bunch of other games as well. This is just where I heard it. Goalie pull happens with 2.5 minutes left with 36.7 seconds left. There's an icing by Seattle, and Stars call a timeout. And apparently what Peter DeBoer told him was, okay, score in the last second. We want extra drama. And so Jamie Benn did that from Heiskanen and Hintz at 19:59. So we're going to overtime. What happens in overtime? Well, the last time these teams met in overtime, Dallas won. Kraken controlled early. Robertson has a shot that's saved, and they try to set up, but they turn the puck over, and then Larson buries one on a break. Seattle wins this one. McCann and Wenberg with the assists at 152. Seattle wins 5-4 in overtime. They go to 39-24 and 7. On the Dallas side of things, they're 38-19 and 14 with the overtime loss. And as I said, they no longer have a lead in the division. They're first. They've got the tiebreaker, but Minnesota is now tied with them, and Colorado's 2 points back with 2 games in hand. So your 3 stars are Tanev, Ben, and Sprong. Shots on net, 11-5 Seattle in the first, 12-7 Dallas in the second, 11-7 Dallas in the third. Shots in the overtime, 2-1 Seattle. Seattle getting the shot that matters. Final shots, 29-27 Dallas. Power plays, Seattle 0 for 2, Dallas 1 for 4. The hits, 20-12 for Dallas. DeCord saved 25 out of 29. Ottinger, another rough night statistically for him, 22 saves on 27 shots. He's had these, and he has games where he's got really good stats and others where they're just kind of mediocre. In the regular season, that does tend to happen. All right, next up, Calgary in against the Anaheim Ducks. So Vladar versus Gibson, and I will say this, Vladar had a decent game, but it is Anaheim. You have to take that with a grain of salt. Now, 37 seconds in, I should say, Nick Ritchie buries a rebound, Hannafin and Dubé with the assists. We then get a power play for Calgary after. It's killed off, but the shots at this point are already up to 6-1 for the Flames. So they come out there very strong in this one. Flames press at 7.5 minutes. Backlund has a tip shot that's saved. Lucic has a shot that's held from in close. And then at 16:51, Stetcher gets his first as a member of the Flames. From Huberdeau and Coleman with 1:01 left, the Ducks get a power play. So that rolls over to the second period where the Flames finish the kill. We then get a power play for the Flames, and they score on it. It's Rasmus Andersson wired through a screen to Foley and Backlund with the assist at 2:36. The Ducks would then get a power play, though. They score on theirs as well. It's Vetrano, good cycle, and buried. Silverberg and Comtois with the assists at 7:26. Coleman then tips one wide during a press for Calgary. Nestorenko's denied. It was his first NHL game. I thought he played pretty well. So just throwing that, I thought he played all right. Kadri fires one wide as the Flames press. 3:05 left. We get a power play for the Ducks. Flames don't let him set up. They kill that one off. 40 seconds left. The Flames get a power play and rolls over into the second period, or into the third period, I should say, where Calgary does get that goal. It's Lindholm from Toffoli and Backlund at 46 seconds. He wires it top corner on the rush. Flames go back to the power play. That one's killed off. The shots are 5-1 Flames, 6.5 minutes in. Terry exits. His head hit Zadorov, so he takes a hit from behind from Ritchie, and it drove his head. It looked like into Zadorov's shoulder, shoulder pads. At any rate, he left, and he looked really upset. So it's possible we're looking at a concussion or some kind of upper body injury. We'll see what the report is tomorrow. The Ducks were stuck at one shot for a while. Spoiler alert, they only got one more in the game. Comtois fires one wide on a 3-on-2. Lindholm has the net feed that's picked off, and it's Nestorenko that got the other shot. His chance was held. And then Mangiapane, top shelf on a break. Great pass by Toffoli at 15:26 to put this one out of reach. Makes it 5-1 with 34.5 seconds left. The Flames get a power play. Doesn't matter, but in the end, they win this one 5-1. They go to 32-25 and 15. For Anaheim, they're 27-38 and 10. So in the West, Winnipeg wins, Nashville wins, Calgary wins. Everything stays the same. Your 3 stars to Foley, Hannafin, and Weegar. Shots on net, 17-7 Calgary in the first, 12-11 Calgary in the second, 14-2 in the third. Final shots, 43-20 for Calgary. Power plays, Calgary 2 for 4, Anaheim 1 for 3. The hits, 13-9 Calgary. Vladar saves 19 out of 20. Gibson saves 38 out of 43. Gibson was under siege again. Tons of shots against him. And again, I get these memories of Tugnet when I watch him play, when Tugnet was the goalie for the Nordiques, and he was all by himself out there, and it was sad to watch. All right, next up, Vegas and Vancouver. Vancouver also having the kids telethon. So if you go to Canucks.com/telethon between now and midnight my time, by the time this goes up, the time's going to be almost out, but they're looking to raise $750,000. Full transparency, I did give the $150 because A, it goes to a good cause, and B, then you get these really cool pictures. So I thought, all right, cool, and I get those 8x10s. I'll throw them in a frame, no problem. So and you don't have to give that. Obviously, there's a spot on the website where you can just give whatever you can. But it goes to a good cause. When they went off the air, it was up over $400,000 they'd raised, about $400,000. All right, so Quick versus Demko in this one, and on their first shot, and it's on a turnover, Kessel scores for Vegas at 3:01. Shots are 3-2 for the Canucks at 7 minutes. This is a logo the Canucks have never officially used, but it's in the team store. They've got magnets made up with this. There's hats made up with this. I wore the hat the other day, and yeah, so it's a thing. Because I always have people saying, don't try to make that logo happen. It's a logo the Canucks have used, just not on a jersey yet. So the Canucks press at 9 minutes. They actually had a pretty good start to this. They were ahead 3-2 shots 7 minutes in. But then a strong forecheck forces a turnover by Vegas, and Smith scores from Karlsson at 12:11, and it was Besser with the turnover. So I'm guessing tomorrow there's going to be some discussions of turnovers and defensive play from Rick Tocchet. Vegas then gets a power play. That's killed off. It's 2-0 Vegas after one. Second period, shots are 3-1 for the Canucks at a minute and a half. Kravtsov has a chance to deflects out. We get a power play for Vegas, but Miller gets tripped on a breakaway. So he gets a shorthanded penalty shot, and he scores on it at 7:57. So JT Miller finding ways to get shorthanded goals, and he's kind of become not the MVP because you've got Pettersson, but he's right there. And JT Miller's play over the last 20 games has been, I think, the best he's looked, period, even including the 99-point season last year. At any rate, Vegas presses at the half, and then Bluger would score from Howden and Haig at 10:22. That's from a sharp angle short side. Kuzmenko with a wraparound, that save. There's a power play for the Canucks. Becomes a 4-on-4, then it becomes a 4-on-3 for the Canucks. They'd score during that. JT Miller with another. He scores from Hughes and Pettersson at 12:42. Canucks press for the tie, but everything ends up being killed off during this as well. Pressed by Vegas with 5 minutes left. Beauvillier has a backhander. That's held by Quick. And then Dorofeev scores from Pietrangelo and Karlsson at 17:19. So he continues to get goals, and that puts Vegas up by 2. Vegas presses in the final minute. It's 4-2 after 2. Third period. Early jump for the Canucks, but Colson couldn't bury a rebound in close. Theodore exits. Unknown reason. I think it was just equipment. Vegas has a 3-on-2, sets up the press. The shots, though, on net are 7-2 Canucks at the 8-minute mark. Besser fires one wide. They have momentum. They just couldn't get a goal here. Theodore is back with 9.5 minutes left. Vegas presses, but then it gets going the other way, and Di Giuseppe buries a loose puck. Quick's a little bit out of position. The assist to Miller and Hughes at 11:43. Canucks press for the tie, but again, they just can't quite get that perfect shot. 2:54 left. They'd pull the goaltender, but with 22.8 seconds left, Hughes, who'd been on the ice for about 3.5 minutes on that shift, ends up taking a penalty that puts Vegas on the power play. But if he hadn't, they would have scored anyways. So at any rate, that power play rolls out the rest of the game, and Vegas ends up holding on for the 4-3 win. They go to 44-21-6 with the win. Vancouver 31-34-5 with the loss. With St. Louis getting a point now, Vancouver 1 point behind St. Louis. If you're in Bedard watch territory, that's important. So 3 stars are Miller, Pietrangelo, and Hughes. The shots on net are 14-5 Vegas in the first, 14-9 Vancouver in the second, 16-4 Vancouver in the third. Final shots 35-27 for the Canucks. Power plays 0-4 for Vegas, 1-2 for Vancouver. The hits 35-17 Vancouver. Jonathan Quick, 32 saves on 35 shots, and with the win, he passes Van Beesbroek to go into second place all-time amongst American-born goaltenders on the wins list. He only trails Ryan Miller now. Demko, 23 saves on 27 shots. And Demko didn't have a fantastic game, and this is what happens when Demko doesn't have a fantastic game. That's going to be the result. But at any rate, the Canucks are well out of the playoffs, so it's all right. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.